The following program is classified G. It's suitable for all ages.
Tonight, we take a look at the fire-ravaged ship MV Express Pearl, which began sinking on the 2nd of June, heightening fears of an oil and chemical spill that would threaten nearby lagoons, marine life and birds. The vessel was laden with chemicals such as nitric acid and carrying 350 metric tons of oil in its tanks. The Sri Lankan Navy has made numerous efforts to douse the flames and stop the ship from breaking apart or sinking. Since then, debris and deceased marine life have washed up on the country's western coastline, seriously damaging both the fisheries industry and the country's marine environment. Last year, the MT New Diamond, a large crude oil carrier, also caught fire off the eastern coast of Sri Lanka. Currently, the Criminal Investigations Division has gone ahead in arresting parties related to the heavy environmental catastrophe. Questions still lie on the legal instruments in play and how justice will be served to the communities affected and the country at large. Welcome to Law, Land and Liberty, a forum to get a breakdown of the most pertinent legal questions in the public forum as of today. We'll make this platform as open and engaging as possible with the general public, as our objective is to provide legal analysis to the layman and provide awareness of the technicalities that may not always be known to everybody. We will approach the topic by shedding light on the key areas of contention and getting a breakdown from leading legal minds within the country. This program will be brought to you weekly on Saturday at 7 p.m. Joining us on our inaugural program is the former President of the Bar Association, President's Counsel, UR De Silva. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Well, on that note, tonight I want to take this discussion to 4 areas of focus: maritime law, compensation, rights of the affected, and environmental damage by the Express Pearl catastrophe and relevant legal action.
Hello, my name is Tarakan Anapriya. I am currently a law student. I want to know, do we have adequate provisions within Sri Lanka to try cases pertaining to maritime disasters?
All right, my first focus, as was mentioned by the public as well, and I'm sure you have been interested in this and many questions must be posed to you as well pertaining to the aspects that we're going to discuss today. My first question now, since I know you have been, as the former president of the Bar Association, you have been very active and progressive in bringing in new, reforms for this entire process. And the discussion is spreading today because there was an incident, the maritime issue. The discussion that is coming up and like the vacuums that we are witnessing as of now is whether there is enough legislation, whether there is evolution in this specific field of law in order to govern all of this. Now, for laymen, when they witness a crisis, now we want justice. So the process may not be that easy. So can you just give us a breakdown and your evaluation of all of this?
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me for this inaugural session. As you quite correctly pointed out, most of the people, they are worried about the present situation because it is not familiar to our culture and our society, and that is why they think that we are not in a position to do anything because it's a foreign vessel, and then we have no adequate laws in this country. It is unfortunate that they are spreading this, most of the people, they are spreading this wrong picture, because we have some sort of areas where we can go and challenge these things and then ask for compensation. This is not a case where we can send these people to jail.
True.
So what we want is, there was an unfortunate incident where we all agree that we never allow them to come as and when they want. There is a procedure. So according to that, whether there is a negligence part is most important thing. Whether who has done it, whether our side is negligible without taking immediate precautions, or the other side, the vessel people, whether they have indicated or informed us briefly to what is happening there, or whether we misunderstood the situation. So those are the areas we have to go into. So all these matters will rely on according to law. So that is why I say we have a particular act where it's called, this is Marine Pollution Protection Act is the important area, 35 of 2008. Is the
That is what it will be governing this specific situation.
Situation in civil and criminal both
cases.
areas.
So if you can just give us an elaboration of how what is
that is why it says particularly an act to provide for the prevention, reduction and control of pollution in Sri Lanka waters with regard to these areas. And thereafter the important another area is to give effect to international conventions.
Alright.
So we have other, this is a global thing,
Sure.
and a lot of international conventions are there. So whether we are in a position to adhere to those things, and whether we have signed those treaties, and whether the important thing is signing or whether we are accepting, that is a different matter. But at the same time we have to ratify those conventions. If we have not done, then we can't go and argue or we can rely on that. But anyhow, this particular act is there. It is clearly stated that two areas, local governing things, and then apart from that the international convention. So as we discussed the international conventions, when we talk about those things, it is important to say the UNO convention, law of the sea, 1892, that is very old one, that 1982 one, that is where we ratified it. It is very important. Since we have ratified it, we have the chance to ask compensation in that area as well. So for example, we can explain in this way. Now we are talking about ICCPR Act.
Exactly.
It's familiar thing.
Yes.
To our Sri Lankan people. So that is also a treaty or convention, international convention, where we agreed upon that. We have signed it. Subsequently, we prepared a special act for that. Apart from our normal laws, that is prevention of terrorism, emergency regulations and criminal procedure, all the laws are there. But apart from that, to ratify that, we have prepared or we have passed a special act called ICCPR. Likewise, if we are in a position to show that we have ratified it and then we have adhered to those things, we are in a position to do so. Anyhow,
just for viewers' benefits, ICCPR would be civil and political rights given to individuals.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they have identified it, and then special laws have been passed by the Parliament. So that is how it goes.
Yeah.
So that is the example I can tell you.
Just if I add on to what you're saying, I just want to get a clarification. Now people are asking, both from, I believe, even from you, people must be asking, do we have the law? You know, what can we do with this law in this specific scenario? And mostly something I want to get your clarification on our first segment is, where should we evolve this specific law? Because we have seen in Sri Lanka, I think they're taking steps, but we are a little behind when it comes to, the evolution of law to get in these new aspects, new scenarios, and bring it under the umbrella of the law. Do you think the same thing is happening here?
In the sense that we have to go with all material.
True.
So far we are not in a position to go into that and clarify all these things, and we have to get all material.
All right.
If we don't have material, and we just can't go there and file a case.
True.
So but now at the moment, the Honorable Attorney General has gone into that, and they have arrested the captain, and then apart from that they are investigating into that. That does not mean that we are sending him to jail, but we have criminal aspect is also there. So for that it is a bit easy to go into courts, and then this admiralty matters, of course, will be heard in High Court. And then that is why he had been produced to High Court. That's also new thing. So normally a person will be produced to the magistrate, but here they have produced to the High Court.
The reasoning being it's a criminal case, is it? Or?
Criminal aspect, but administrative jurisdiction. Right. So the High Court judge has the power. That is where normally in a normal case we have to go before the magistrate firstly and obtain bail or remand. All these things will be done there. But here that this person was produced before the High Court. So the High Court judge has heard both parties, and they are only we can find out with the submissions there are two areas. So we have to be very careful, because the captains, on behalf of the captain, they have stated we have informed everything, and they came to the vessel and they were not taking immediate action. So that's very important. When we are going to courts, merely because there is something done, and then we can't just go and place our facts. There is another aspect also. For that, of course, the Criminal Investigation Department is investigating it, and they are recording all the statements. I think today the person who is in charge in Sri Lanka with regard to this particular vessel is going to give a statement, and according to that statement we can find out whether it has been conveyed to Sri Lanka. The particular agent should know all these things when the vessel is coming to sailing to our territorial water. So it is the duty of that particular agent to get maximum precautions. So then he must have all the details. That is why our CID is insisting on him to come and give a statement, and he had assured to court that he will go there. And apart from that, they have asked all mobile phones and then tabs and computers of those people who are inside the vessel. So that is also very important, how they reacted to these things. So those things are, as far as our law is concerned, they have produced under the particular person is produced under Section 26 of that particular act.
Right.
So that is then we are investigating.
Just to, before we end our first segment, I want to get a clarification. Of people will ask, he's a foreign national, or if he's someone from another country, can we imprison him here? What is the legislation there? Like, if there's a clarification that you can make on
that's right. Good question. But we are not going to send him to jail, as I told you. That this is, of course, a criminal action going there. As far as the negligence is concerned, we in our criminal law, it is identified negligence part. But the fact remains, negligence part should go beyond civil action. Okay. So if he has not taken purposely, if he had not taken any action to safeguard these things, as far as the country is concerned and our territorial water is concerned, that is what we are concerned about. So if we can't give a proper explanation, if he has taken all measures, adequate measures, he can't control everything, but if he has taken adequate measures, of course then it will turn to civil action. So he is not liable. But if he is liable, if something has happened to our waters, then 4 million rupees fine up to 15 million.
All right.
So not
I think that really gives us a good segue to our next segment on compensation. A very good context given to us by the former president of the Bar Association, Mr. U.R. De Silva, who's with us. We will take a very short break and we'll join you all on the next segment where we are going to talk a bit more about compensation. Stay with us. This is Law, Land and Liberty.
I will be reading my LLB degree at the Royal Institute of Colombo. My question to you is, will compensation be provided to the stakeholders who have been affected by the MV Express Pearl disaster? And what kind of time duration would it take? Thank you.
Well, welcome back. We are hearing from the public as well pertaining to the discussion. We are in discussion with the former president of the Bar Association, Mr. President's Counsel, U.R. De Silva. Our next segment, as was mentioned, we want to talk about compensation. Now, that word is being shouted by everyone. Everyone's screaming, we have to find compensation, pinning the blame, and like that procedure, ironing it out is important. So my first question is, will compensation be provided according to your view? Will it take too much time? Those are things that we need to discuss. Like if it is given in maybe like 10 years, then it would make sense. So how does this process work exactly?
Normally, in a situation like this, it will take some time. But we have to adjust ourselves to expedite these matters. These are the things everybody is concerned. Even this particular vessel also is not a vessel where nobody is interested. It's a Singaporean vessel.
Exactly.
And this particular company, as you call, is a very big company where we are dealing with called Express Container Line. So we are dealing with them for over 40 years.
All right.
So this is not the only vessel they have. They have a lot of vessels, and this particular vessel also has come this February, March to Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So it has come and gone. So the normal day-to-day affairs, so it is going in this line. So this is very unfortunate incident where they never expected, but something has happened. So that is why I said that we are in a position to get compensation, provided that they also feel that it is their duty. They can't just ignore that. But the amount, of course, and the negligence part, of course, who is responsible? So we have to adjust for that. So in the first instance, Dr. Nalaka Godaheva already informed last week that interim claim with regard to US dollars 40 million as a for first 10 days. They have claimed, and they have instructed to the Honorable Lieutenant General to file case immediately. So they are working on that day to day. They are day and night. They are working, but it cannot be done in overnight.
Yeah.
So we have to see now. This is a foreign ship, so we have to call them and get all the details, and thereafter discuss these things and then go forward. We must go forward in a proper way. Then otherwise we can't turn back and say, very unfortunate, we were not doing it properly. So that is the very reason our ministry, our Minister of Justice, called for a meeting, including the Honorable Lieutenant General, and thereafter he has decided to appoint 5 committees.
Panels, yeah.
So as we discussed these things earlier, last week, it has been done already, and they are asking various people to send their observation or anything to be done. So they are giving opportunities to, if they have some material, which we don't know, if they have, with regard to these things, they can send it across to this particular committee. That is called Subcommittee on Insurance, Subcommittee on Legal Matters, Subcommittee on Fisheries Affairs, Subcommittee on Environmental Matters, and Subcommittee on Economic Affairs. So you're also discussing the same thing, which I think is very important. And as far as the most important thing is fisheries people, so they have been affected, so they are losing their job, and they can't go forward. That is why Dr. Godaheva has stated that as an interim claim, they have asked for 40 million for what purpose? That is to clean up the area and then pay compensation to necessary people.
The livelihoods. Okay, that was my next question on whether the livelihoods would be the people that have been affected, the wage people, they might go fishing, and that entire ecosystem has been destroyed to a certain extent. You do mention like, okay, between states, between the company and the state, a discussion then go ahead, and this money can be taken. Legally, what do you think is the perspective? Legally, can we go and acquire that kind of money?
If they are in agreement with this interim relief, they might say, this is like we are going to courts and we are asking for an interim thing. So that's not the final thing. Anyhow, they have to pay compensation.
Yes.
That's the fact. So they can't just say, no, we are not liable or we are not going to pay.
True.
So whether the sum we are asking, at the moment, we are not in a position to calculate that also. For that purpose, we have asked 3 experts to come into Sri Lanka and value it. So till such time we are asking these things. So experts on economics, and then 2 experts field of environmental issues. So they are coming to Sri Lanka. Most probably then they will be here, and then they will evaluate the situation, and they are experts in this area. So we can file our action in Sri Lanka. This is territorial water, and then we have the jurisdiction to file case. So we have commercial high court is there, so we can file action against them. So who is responsible? So now in a situation like this, the vessel, the people who are who have the authority, that those people, as well as the insurance. So
Exactly.
in a situation like this, there should be two insurance policy. Two insurance companies should come in, and two insurance covers actually, whether one company or two companies is a different matter, but two insurance covers will be there. So that is with regard to vessel. As far as the vessel is concerned, you have to insure. And then the next
That will be for the company.
company.
Yeah.
So the insurance company have two areas
yeah.
with regard to vessel. That is something had happened to vessel.
True,
If it is a mechanical thing,
Yeah.
then of course vessel is important. Then with regard to protection of the and indemnity, those areas, of course, is the area where
We are concerned.
because vessel, it is not a fact of a vessel, but there were goods inside the vessel, and one container was, there was a problem with regard to one container, and then it was leaking, and then thereafter they tried to do something, but they have had the adequate measures, or whether they have done it properly or not. Those are the areas we have to concern. So that is why I say the two insurance cover. It is there now. So that is also to get maximum benefit for us. So whether what is the amount they are covered, of course we have to go into that. But cover, it is being covered.
These are the technicalities there.
Two areas are covered, and what the second area we are relying on that, and we can file action and claim our compensation.
Something I just collected from what you are saying is, I don't know if this is too deep into maritime law, if so you can ignore the question, but I want to know now, when you mention if there is some material within a container, should that owner of that container specifically be held liable, and will there be a discussion between those two insurance agencies and that, or should the ship take responsibility?
No, quite correctly pointed out, you have quite correctly pointed out that,
Yeah.
because it is the container where who has loaded that container, whether they have arranged it in properly. So then that particular company as well as the insurance people who are responsible should come in. That is why the company who own the ship or the vessel is not liable at this stage with regard to that particular container. But that does not mean that they are not they are evading everything, but they have the claim, but they can turn around and say we are also filing actions against them. Those people.
Exactly.
So that is why they have properly, adequately. Now it is, of course, when we are sailing it, we have to take the responsibility when we are loading that. Exactly. So whether they have properly loaded that, and then who is responsible in that port, how they have managed it. So all these matters, who had the negligence part is very important. That's why I said this is, of course, we can't just go and grab the compensation or the anything. Insurance people will not just give. They are ready to get all insurance. Normally insurance people are like that. When they want to give something back as compensation, they are very reluctant. So they go to a maximum, and then they try to curtail everything. So that is how the existing law provides that.
Exactly. I think you shed a lot of light on things that even I hadn't thought about for a while. So what I'm collecting from this, and I'm pretty sure viewers would also collect, is the fact that this might take a lot of time, and there is a lot of discussion that should happen outside this country also pertaining to this. Why I want to ask you, have you seen other examples or other historic areas where this has happened, maybe in another country or maybe in another scenario? Is there a way to fast track it in those methods, or how do you see this ending?
It's happening. It's happening all over the country. We are concerned about one aspect only. As far as the maritime law is concerned, it's a normal thing. We are not saying that we can ignore that as a normal thing, exactly. But it's happening, and compensations are being paid, and then a lot of litigations are there. So it is there. Who is responsible is the important area. Those matters will be argued in court till such time as I will assure you that government is not going to ignore all these things. They are responsible for the people who have affected. So they should be looked after. The government can't say till the compensation is paid, we will wait and see. We are not. I don't think it's the duty of the government. They will not do that. That's why they say we are looking about interim relief.
True.
So to safeguard the other things. Pollution, of course, all these matters we can do it later
on.
And most of the people, they think that when we get compensation everything is okay. No, we have to properly utilize those things and then try to minimize the damage caused. So that is a very important thing, and the ministries are working on it, and the Justice Ministry is very concerned. That's why I said within a reasonable time, they have given time period also, and then if they have a lot of material, it is easy for us to go and argue that matter in court. Then the court will not drag this. They will not allow the other party to drag this matter, because we are providing all the material. If we don't have the material, merely because we ask compensation, I don't think they are ready to pay what we ask. Everything they are obliged to pay, but not the payment what we ask. If we are going to ask the maximum, then we should have the material. If we have the material, court will definitely say you have to pay this.
True. Right. I think you shed a lot of light, and I have a lot more questions to ask in terms of compensation as well. But we have to take a short commercial break. We will go for that. Before that, we are going to introduce a new segment within this program where we discuss the daily legal happening, the legal news that is happening around the country, to brief it into one program and provide to you so that you know exactly where to come to in order to get your legal news. Here is our very own Anuradha Wickramasinghe to give you Law in the Land.
Thank you, Daniel. Well, in this segment, our focus is on the legal news from across the nation and how it has impacted various quarters of our society. This is a look as to how the law has worked in our land. The captain of the Express Pearl cargo vessel was ordered to be released after being produced before the Colombo High Court, after producing a personal bond worth ₹2 million. The court further extended the overseas travel ban imposed on the captain of the ill-fated ship. Justice Minister Ali Sabri said that 3 international experts are due in Colombo to help Sri Lanka make claims for the damage caused by the MV Express Pearl fire in Sri Lankan waters. Judge Arjuna Obesekara has sworn before President Gotabaya Rajapaksa as a justice of the Supreme Court. Judge K.P. Fernando also took oath as the president of the Court of Appeal before the president, filling the vacancy created by Obesekara's promotion. The investigations into the controversial media conference held by Asad Salih, who is currently held by the Criminal Investigation Department under detention orders, have been completed. The Attorney General informed the Supreme Court when the case was taken up. On March 16th, Asad Salih was arrested by the CID and was detained under the provisions of the Prevention of Terrorism. The arrest was made over several controversial remarks Salih made at a press conference with regard to the law of the country. The Justice Minister has appointed members to the 5 subcommittees to rapidly reform and modernize the legal system of Sri Lanka. Minister of Justice Ali Sabri appointed the legal advisors and sector consultants to the committees at a meeting held at the Ministry of Justice. The 5 subcommittees were the result of the cabinet memo submitted by the minister setting out the major problems affecting the administration of justice in Sri Lanka. The minister has also proposed an action plan to address the issues within 3 years.
I'm a medical student. My question is about the rights of the affected. I want to know what are the rights of the individuals affected directly by the disaster and how should they exercise those rights.
We'll come back to law, land and liberty, as was mentioned within the discussions with the public as well. A lot of questions are rising pertaining to the compensation of these individuals who are on the ground, who have their entire livelihoods been affected within a flash, and now it's a discussion between companies and states, but there are people on the ground who are a little confused as to how we can proceed forward. I want to take some thoughts from our previous segment as well, where you mentioned compensation being provided to the state and everything. Now, if there's an individual on the ground, and I believe these are the kind of individuals that may even come and speak to you at one point, who have a delay in their compensation happening and they would want to take some action. Are they taking action against this international entity, or are they taking action against the state for the compensation? How does that work?
Yeah, in fact, already people, the environmental areas are concerned to protect those areas. There are various organizations.
Yeah.
They have gone to courts and they have filed action against the state. So that's a good thing, where then the state automatically come into play, and then they have to give an explanation. They can't just come and say that we are expecting something till such time we are not in a position to do so. They are not in a position to do so. That is the one area. And as far as the other area is concerned, MIPA, that is Marine Environment Protection Authority.
Yeah.
They are worried about, they are working on it, and they think that we should get some sort of from the compensation from that end, and then we also, government also would give something to the people, especially fisheries people. They are affected. So now they have been prohibited not to go there. So immediately what the government should do is clear that area and let the fisheries go on their work. So then they have something. Apart from that, they will be paid compensation immediately, because otherwise it is a very bad situation where they have been affected. This is like tsunami, no? So
exactly.
They never expected this, and suddenly it had happened. Then government is responsible in two areas. One is to collect the compensation or adequate sums from that end. Apart from that, government is bound to look after the people who have been affected. So that is what the important area. Immediate steps should be taken for that purpose. So that is also economic affairs is most important. That's why another committee had been appointed for that. So a lot of people, even normal people, can send their grievances and their plights to this committee. So they will go into that and they will recommend the government what to do. So that is very important. The most appropriate step has been taken at this stage. So we can't, as I always say, we can't just go and say we are ready to pay this one, like 5,000 we are going to pay. No, we can't do that. But that does not mean we can drag on for some time. In other situations, this is a very important thing, and we should take immediate. Those are the immediate remedies. Then the in-between things are there, so a middle thing, and then in the long run, what we are going to do. So those are the areas as far as the compensation is concerned. Immediately we should pay to the people who are affected, and then thereafter we have to clean the areas. Okay. It been affected, and then finally what are the things that we have to adjust ourselves with as far as the law is concerned. If there are anything to be developed and any amendments should be brought in. So those unfortunately there was 2016 and 17 there was a committee appointed. All important areas are looked after, and then our professionals went there and gave their suggestions, but it had not gone into. So this is also high time to go into that. We have another opportunity, a great opportunity for us to develop our law. That's a final thing. But in between, we have to pay the important area that is called compensation.
All right. Just to get I want to keep this brief also, this question, so that you can elaborate a little. Now, if these people do in fact come to you, now this segment we are really trying to focus on the rights of the individuals that have been affected. How would you advise these individuals? What would your general, should they be collected, and should they go for something like a class action suit, or can they individually exercise their rights? What are the rights that are there available for them to exercise?
Better to have a group of people, because individually if you go to file several cases, it will take some time and then a lot of money is involved. So there are, as I inform you, there are agencies where they are working on it and they are very helpful to the people who are being affected. So then they should form a committee or form a group of people, society, and then thereafter consult legal luminaries, because it is important to go before court and ask something. Otherwise, a lot of people are there, but they will just ignore. In this scenario, a lot of areas are involved, a lot of ministries are involved. So they might say that we are not responsible, and the others will say they have not taken proper action, so we are not going to do. So to collect all these things, it is the best remedy would be to get together and go before court, and thereafter they will file cases, and then the AG will, Attorney General will come in, and the Attorney General will look after all the ministries as far as the government is concerned. So they will come out with a proper solution.
All right. I just want to get one more question before we go into our last segment. Now, we spoke a bit about insurance. Now, insurance, we spoke in this multilateral sort of context where between container owners and the ship owners. Do you think, if there is some insight you can shed on this, how about the insurance for these fishermen and their livelihoods? Is that an avenue that they should really look at? Should that law, is that like, are they protected in those scenarios? Can they exercise their rights in terms of getting insurance for their own livelihoods, maybe their boats, or maybe when their livelihood is affected? Is there a way to do that, or is it only the method that they're trying to exercise as of now and going and asking the state, look, sort of like act from God, they did not see this happening? So are there any other avenues that these people can go to?
No, there is, because they have every right to go before court and say our things are damaged, and then we can't do our job properly.
True.
So you have to look after us. So that is, of course, they just can't, they are not shouting, and if they are going to shout and go on the street and then say something, that is, of course, not important. What you have to do is, as you quite correctly asked, they have a remedy. So then they have, as I told you, not individually, they can do so, but if they are get into a particular society, even now they might have societies in those areas as far as the fishermen are concerned. So if they have that, then they can go before a particular society, and then they will inform, they will ready to go before courts and challenge government with regard to compensation. So that is why I say they have to file cases merely because the negotiations are going. The government will definitely come and pay something, but if all people are concerned, it is the duty of those people to get their benefits.
True.
They have the right. They have the right because they can sue the government as well as the vessel people.
Right.
So that the remedy is available. In Sri Lanka, our law is very clear. As far as the compensation is concerned, if we have proper material, we are in a position to go and challenge them to pay the necessary adequate compensation.
All right, thank you. We are going to go into our last segment and discuss the environmental aspect of all of this. We'll take a very short break. Stay with us on Law, Land and Liberty.
Currently pursuing my bachelor's degree in management and distribution. I want to know if the environmental damages caused by the Express Pearl disaster be quantified and if the relevant parties will be held accountable.
Welcome back. As was mentioned, we are going to talk a bit about the environmental aspect of all of this, because that is, in fact, the one would say the most silent area, because there is no clear stakeholder where we can point, and there's no voice other than the ones that people go and empower. So my question will just briefly go over whether there is law set enough to accompany this, because we have seen the discussion on animals' rights that have been going on, and people have been asking, the rights of these animals, because they're voiceless, it hasn't been really recognized. What is your take on the law for the environment in these scenarios? Are we there? Are we evolved to that extent? Do we have enough mechanisms, enough remedies to protect the environment? Is it only the responsibility of the ministry to exercise this? Who is going to take the environment side in this scenario?
I am happy to say that as far as the law is concerned, a lot of lawyers are involved in this thing, and they are fighting for that, and they are ready to go and do the justice to the people as well as the environmental areas. Also, what is affected is very important. They have to evaluate that. So those things, they are doing it. And sometimes non-governmental organizations, they are ready to come forward and retain lawyers to go before court. So those areas are there, avenues are available. So what we are going to exercise is important. So if we are going to properly exercise these things, the government can't say no, we are not in a position to say pay that, but they have to do so. At this stage, they are doing it to some extent. They have collected all the garbage there, and then 1,000 tons of material collected, and then they have stored in 44 containers. So those are areas where we have to be very careful. So those things that is there, so environmental associations will be looked after. They are looking after that, and then they will say if there is something wrong, they will come and inform court. So that is why I say the voice is clear, and they are going for that. Already they have filed cases, and what I would say is now there is a committee appointed for that also, subcommittee. Yeah. So if you have some sort of grievance, please write to them and then ask for help. So otherwise, the government or the committee cannot go each and every person and ask what actually happened. They have done the proper thing. They have asked, they have published it, and they say, you inform us, we will go into that and we will help in necessary areas. As far as environment is concerned, this is also voiceless. No, exactly. Somebody must come in. And then thereafter they must say that we are interested in our society, and then this area is ours. We have to look after. If it is polluted, then we are in trouble. So it will affect in the long run. This is not going to solve in 2-3 days or in months. It will affect for the whole
long term. Yeah.
So for that purpose, the mere providing compensation is not enough. So adequate measures should be taken to safeguard our
maybe even re-establish those areas that have been damaged.
That's right.
I want to ask from your experience now that you have a leading lawyer in the country and you have seen how cases work in and around the country. What is your take on legal cases that deal with the environment? We have seen, I believe we had some of our most senior judges have been in the, I believe it was the Court of Justice also, in order to press on with the environmental issues and environmental rights. Where do you think Sri Lanka is in that scenario? Because a lot of people, even on social media, when they share, they're not motivated. They feel a little hopeless sometimes, saying, okay, this might end in us all just complaining and the environment not getting any benefit. With your experience in these fields, with the cases you have seen, do you think this will be different? Do you think people can actually have some hope in the environment, given some form of compensation, environment being rebuilt to some extent, people being held accountable from the eyes of the environment? That has been, that is one entire stakeholder. What are your thoughts on that?
There are instances where they successfully challenge the situations and they got the benefit. So there is a remedy and the court is there to get all these things done. But the fact remains, it will take some time. Exactly. So we have to get some sort of mechanism where to curtail that wrong run. So at that moment, Justice Ministry is working on it, and we want to expedite the matters. So as far as every aspect is concerned, including these areas, we have provided a lot of opportunities to go there, and we have given more judges. We want to have more judges, and we have provided that, and then thereafter we will be giving courthouses and advocate facilities also. So by doing so, it will finally affect the situation where it will not go so as far as the cases are concerned. So people also should have the knowledge all these things, and that this type of a program will get the benefit that they will be coming to know that they have a right.
Exactly.
But the right is there. Don't take inadequate measures and get adequate measures. Think positive and think out of box and go forward. Then you have the right, and it will be highlighted. It will be looked after by the whole world also, because the whole world also concerned about these environmental problems, and they are also having a lot of areas where we can learn from that, and then finally we can get the benefit after.
All right. I think that was a lot of information that we got. I think I really want to thank our guest, the former president of the Bar Association, President's Council, U.R. De Silva, for joining us, for giving us this time. A lot of clarifications actually was made today, and we will be doing this every week on Saturday at 7 o'clock. We're going to bring this information, we are going to bring the weekly topics and discuss it, give the layman a breakdown of the law and really take that forward. Thank you for joining us today on Law, Land and Liberty. Join us again next week. I'm Danil Tanwasam. Have a great day.